She quietly stepped into the lecture room, dressed plainly in a modest gray sweater. When the well-known professor challenged her with a complex equation, everyone exchanged amused glances. They sensed they were about to witness a moment in mathematical history unlike any other this university had seen. The lecture hall at Texas State University buzzed with excitement as Professor Richard Harrington walked confidently to the stage. His reputation as a top mathematician and the head of the department, known for his contempt toward those he saw as less intelligent, was well known. Sarah Mitchell quietly took a seat in the last row, adjusting her plain gray cardigan over her white shirt. At 37, she was noticeably older than most of the students in attendance, but blending in was never her intention. She came to learn. Today's session focused on Riemann's theory and how it connects to quantum computing. Harrington's voice filled the room, commanding attention. With his neatly groomed silver beard and sharp blue suit, he radiated authority as he scanned the crowd. His gaze briefly paused on Sarah, and a faint look of judgment crossed his face. She recognized that look instantly. It was the same one she had received years ago when she had applied for a janitorial job at this very university. The conference began with PhD candidates giving their talks. Sarah listened closely, jotting down every detail, her eyes lighting up with interest during the presentations. As the symposium progressed, Sarah remained focused. Her pen glided across her notebook, capturing every concept, every equation, and every insight with remarkable clarity. Despite sitting in the back, she leaned forward slightly, her brow furrowed in concentration, eyes flicking between the presenters and her notes. No one seemed to notice her, or so she thought. Professor Harrington, while appearing to concentrate on the presentations, kept glancing in her direction. He couldn't quite place why she seemed familiar, but there was something about her demeanor that unsettled him. She didn't carry the nervous energy of the graduate students. She looked certain, composed, like someone who knew more than she let on. When the third speaker faltered, trying to explain the boundary conditions of Riemann's hypothesis in a real-time quantum state, Sarah's hand shot up before she could even think twice. For a moment, the room hesitated. It wasn't common for attendees, especially those sitting at the back, to interrupt. Harrington raised an eyebrow and nodded at her skeptically. "Yes, you had a comment?" he asked, his tone dipped in polite doubt. Sarah stood slowly. The speaker mentioned that the quantum state becomes undefined due to measurement interference, but that only applies if we assume the observer effect cannot be isolated. But if we use a decoherence-based model with layered probability waves, the interference collapses independently, allowing for stable observation without traditional collapse. The room fell silent. Even the presenter on stage seemed startled. He looked down at his notes, flipping through them, then glanced at Harrington. The professor's expression hardened. "And you are—" "Sarah Mitchell," she replied, her voice steady. "Independent researcher. I've been studying applications of Riemann's theory in real-world quantum encryption systems." Whispers spread through the audience like ripples in water. Harrington's lips pressed into a thin line. He didn't appreciate being corrected, especially not by someone who wasn't part of his department. "Interesting," he said after a pause. "And have you published anything on this independent observation model?" Sarah nodded. 3 papers. One was cited by the Quantum Research Journal last winter, but I suppose they didn't make it past your desk. A few gasps scattered through the audience. Harrington's eyes narrowed. This wasn't just a clever woman. She was a challenge, and in his world, challenges were meant to be defeated. Well then, Miss Mitchell, he said sharply, would you care to present your theory at the end of the session? I'm sure we'd all be curious to see how well your ideas stand under scrutiny. I'd be honored, Sarah said, offering a soft smile, knowing full well this wasn't an invitation, it was a test. As the session progressed, Harrington grew suspicious of Sarah. She took detailed notes, asked sharp questions, and stayed composed under pressure. Graduate students whispered, impressed by her intellect. When the last presenter finished, Harrington unexpectedly invited Sarah to present her model. Calmly, she explained her theory using clear analogies. Skeptics in the audience gradually became engaged, taking notes and nodding in agreement. After her 15-minute presentation, Harrington admitted her argument was logically sound. Sarah smiled quietly, feeling a deep sense of accomplishment.